Yeah, Michael.
You good? Okay.
Should be going on 6 now. That's the longest freaking minute.
Your phone's already bumped out. And you brought none. Meeting of Legislative Affairs come to order. Clerk, call the roll.
All right, Committee of Legislative Affairs. This is Thursday, September 12th, 2019. We're at 6 p.m. I have Councilor Capone.
Here.
I have Councilor DeFlorio.
Here.
I have Councilor DePiero.
Here.
We have 3 members present. We do have a quorum.
3 members present. We have a quorum. Please stand and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council McLaughlin. Mr. Clerk, please read the first item of business.
Right, first item of business. This is a resolution by Councilor McKinnon that the Committee on Legislative Affairs do their annual review of the legislative aid position.
From the chair, ladies and gentlemen, I spoke with the sponsor, and he would like everyone to be able to weigh in on this because the legislative aid does work for all of us, and we all should be able to weigh in on it. So it looks like Councilor DePiero would like to say something.
Just with that, I'd like to get something from the city clerk too, perhaps, where he oversees the position, whether it's just
Sure.
some brief statements or a little overview or performance kind of thing. I'd like to see that included.
Yeah, that's a good point. And whatever the pleasure of the committee is, we could either have the members come in person and express their comments, whatever they may be, or in writing, or leave it up to the council which way they want to do it. Council McLaughlin.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we are going to open this up to all of our colleagues to be able to weigh in on this?
I think we
or
should.
Or just we're waiting for the sponsor to...
No, I
to
think
attend?
we should, whatever this body wants to do, but I think we should have everyone weigh in because the aid does work for all of us.
So then, Mr. President, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, excuse me, I'm not sure if it's appropriate to move this to a committee of the whole then at this point. Are we going to break an open meeting law if we were to invite the whole body to this meeting?
As long as it's published, yeah. Yeah. They don't need to come in person.
No, but I'm saying, and I agree, we're probably
they
not going
do.
to all come.
But
But I'm
if they
saying if
do.
they so choose and we extend the invitation, just hypothetically that
Yep.
they all did show up, should this go to a committee of the whole?
I mean, I don't know that you need to if you invite everyone and we publicize the meeting.
Okay. I'm okay with doing whatever
Yeah.
my colleagues want to do. I just
Yeah.
wanted to
Sure,
to-
make sure that we follow the rules.
exactly.
Absolutely.
And I'm okay with doing whatever my colleagues want to do with this piece.
Anyone else? Council DePiero?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just suggest where it is, a member of our personnel, I think we should come out with something publicly when it's over. But if
Yeah.
members have opinions or concerns, even if they don't, but,
Sure.
it should be documented privately.
Yeah.
And included in the files and whatnot. But
Yeah.
I don't think
And-
we should be discussing performance in public.
Sure. Sure. Well, why don't we have our clerk
Yes.
before us as well? Especially depending on what the comments are. If everyone's saying greatest job in the world, then it's not so much of an issue. But if it's not,
Yeah.
then
Sorry, yeah.
Also, just for the record, the legislative code does not mandate this.
yeah.
So I just want to caution you also, obviously you can do as you please, and I think in writing would be the best way, but personnel records are not public.
Public, yeah.
So my personnel records are not public, your personnel records are not public, so I just want to caution you, so whatever you do, I recommend doing it in writing.
Yeah.
And then if you need to discuss it, it would be in an executive session, because personnel is very sensitive, and
Yeah.
you could be breaking,
I think-
you could
I
be
think-
violating your employees'
I think
rights. I
that's-
just want to caution you
Yeah, I
as a
think that's
board.
I think it's a good point. If the membership wanted to do it in person, as
Then-
soon as it looked like it was going in any direction, then just do
Correct.
executive
That's why I
session.
think just in
Yeah.
writing might be good, and then
Start
you can
with
just
that
say,
and
this
go
is
from
what their
there.
opinions are, and then if you
Okay.
feel like you need to go further, it's
Yeah.
just a recommendation, and we can always ask the city solicitor, but I do a lot of public
Yeah.
records requests, and personnel is definitely privileged.
Yeah, it's probably the way to go, and then if any of the members feel that they're not able to express themselves adequately
100%.
in writing, we can always address it then.
Correct, yeah. I just
So-
wanted to caution the board,
Sure.
and just make sure they understood, just because I deal with this.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
That's a good point, okay. What would the membership like to do? I guess
I-
in writing for now, and then if there's a need to do anything in person, we could always do that. Counselor
That's what I was
DeFlorio.
going to recommend. Have everybody give it to us in writing. We'll
Okay.
We'll review it in committee.
Yep.
And if we feel that something is there that we should not discuss on the floors, then we can call for a committee as a whole to go to executive session.
Yep, okay. All right. So the motion is to request the membership to submit their comments in writing? Well, the city clerk as well, yep. It's comments as well. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. So we'll be laying that over in committee, asking for communications from the membership. Clerk will read item number 2.
Item number 2 is a resolution up by Councilor McKinnon that the city council consider going to a citywide 24/7 residential parking.
Counselor DeFlorio.
You know, Mr. Chairman, for years, I always said that we should go to 24 hours residential parking, but unfortunately, things change in life. And the older you get, yes, we can still make decisions. You have a little more wisdom. And I'm thinking, a lot of us have homes, but we don't have a lot of driveway. I'm one of the fortunate ones. I have 5 kids that come to my house every Sunday for dinner. And I enjoy that. If I don't have that driveway, where are my 5 kids and their wives going to park?
Yeah.
So we got to be very careful how we do this. We have to really take into consideration that a lot of members, a lot of citizens in the city of Everett don't have driveways, but have kids that don't live here. So we're going to tell them they can't have a party? So we need to take this under consideration, like I said, and really, really do some tough thinking instead of jumping into something right away. I don't see a big problem. I know everything was about the casino and people parking in our streets. I'm not that far from the casino, but people that go to gamble aren't going to park a half a mile away. People that go to gamble are going to go there and gamble, and they want comfort. They want to know that they're going to go downstairs and get their car. So I don't see it as a problem right now. You know, we did think about the casino. We thought it was going to be a problem. I don't know about anybody else, but I haven't had any complaints. The only thing I see on a daily basis is, even when I was on Main Street with my business, that people would come from the other side of Everett, park on Main Street, and go into Boston. So that hurts the businesses.
Sure.
So that's something we should take into consideration. That would be something that, you know, the main roads where the businesses are, either we put meters and stop these people from doing that. Do we stop them from going on a side street? I mean, I don't have an issue. If you park on Dyer Ave at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're out of there by 5 o'clock. The people on Dyer Ave can park at night. Everybody pays excise taxes in the city of Everett. You're entitled to park anywhere you want. So I don't know if you want to send this to the traffic commission or if we want to hold it up until we see, do a little more research. I'll leave that up to the sponsor.
Okay.
So.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I would echo some of the comments that Councilor DeFlorio made, although we have seen it in other communities rolled out successfully. So if at some point we need to implement it, it could be done in the city, obviously. That being said, I agree with Councilor DeFlorio that the parking issues have not been overwhelmingly burn on neighborhoods. There are some congestion in certain areas of Ward 6 and probably Ward 1, and Sergeant Gaffney has been working with myself and new Council Capone on resolving some of those issues. And so I'm not sure that this time we need to do this. I'm not sure if we leave this in committee and delay it, or if we send it back to sponsor, and then if it needs to be addressed in the future, then bring it back up in the future. But I think at this time it might be a little over the top, because I haven't heard any major overwhelming concern of parking across the city. Of course, parking's a big issue, no question about it. But for this purpose, it hasn't changed much. That would really derive the need for 24-hour parking across the city at this point. In the future, it may change, but I think at this time we should refer this back to sponsor. All due respect, I'm going to yield the floor to my colleague if he wants to speak, but I think refer this back to sponsor and revisit it in a few months if that's so deemed necessary at that time.
Okay. Councilor DePiero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to second Councilor McLaughlin's motion. This has been on our calendar for quite some months. We got the report from Sergeant Gaff the other evening, and quite frankly, I thought it was done at that point. I'm not sure why it's back here, but it is. You know, we don't have control under this,
Sure.
you know, traffic conditions, so.
If I could, just to point out to the members, and obviously we can do whatever you'd like, this piece with the 24/7, it was going to die in the floor at our meeting. And then Council Marchese had a concern about the visitor passes and how those were issued. And I think that they requested it come in here for that. We can very easily refer back to sponsor if you want. The other alternative would be to leave it in committee and just get the policy on how we issue visitor passes and maybe take a look at that. Ultimately, it would just be recommendations, as we all know. Traffic
If
isn't
that's the case,
in our
I would
purview.
recommend that they introduce something that says that.
Okay.
Whereas the piece doesn't say anything
Fair
about
enough.
visitor passes.
Fair enough.
You know, let's be
So-
consistent.
I've got a motion and a second. Did you want to speak, Councilman McLaughlin? We've got a motion, second, refer back to sponsor. All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And the clerk will read the last item of business.
All right. The last item number 3, is a resolution out by Council McLaughlin that short-term rental orders be reviewed in committee to make possible changes if needed.
He's the sponsor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr.
Councilman
Chairman,
McLaughlin.
I think, I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised to see this evening because I thought we were going to give our city clerk some time to come up with
That was my fault it's in here.
of the ordinance that we were going to
Yeah.
review.
Yeah,
So-
if I may, from the chair, the thought process was that the clerk was working on it, and rather than waiting for him to have to send something to the body, then to have it come back to this committee, just refer this to the committee, and then once the clerk has the final touches on it, it'll come in the committee, we can look at it, do whatever we need to do, and then send it out on the floor. Just
Great.
saving a step, that's all.
No, no, and perfectly fine. My only question to the city clerk is.
Sure, Mr. Clerk?
Yes,
Mr.
Councilor.
Clerk, thank you for appearing. Mr. Clerk, do we have a base that we've started and we're going to build off of that, or are we starting a brand new?
No.
ordinance
We're
and try
working
to-
off the old ordinance.
Okay.
I'm also piecing Somerville, Boston, and I don't want to say I use I. We. It's me, the legislative team, the legal team, Matt Latanzi, Keith Slattery, Tony Souza, James Soper. I mean, this is a collaborative effort because I don't know all zoning laws, so I like to bring in experts. I know how to draft an ordinance generally, but they have specialties that I don't. So everyone is working together on this. Matt's really taken the lead, and I've been assisting him along with Keith and everyone else. So we're using the current ordinance. We're taking pieces of Somerville, Boston, and Winthrop, I believe. They had really nice ordinances, and ours was a little bit like it was everywhere. It was a good base, but it's in too many spots. So we're trying to narrow it down, make it more concise, and then we're going to add some things to the zoning at some point, and that's what Jim Soper's been talking about because we want to make sure it's concise and that zoning describes what a short-term rental is and where they're allowed. Because as we discussed very briefly the other night, that, in residential districts, we definitely want you to live there. In commercial and industrial districts, we don't necessarily want you to live there, but maybe you have a professional manager or someone that isn't necessarily on site, but that handles any of the calls. So those are the things that we're dealing with now. Matt's creating a new piece of legislation for, I think it'll be number 34, 35 in zoning, that will specifically say short-term rentals, and it will define it in the zoning ordinances, and that is what we're building now. So myself, Matt, and the legal team, and Jim and Tony are working on that. We have a base, we already have started to tweak it, and we expect to have something done in the next week or two.
Just 2 points on that, Mr. Clerk. One is Malden has some really good language.
I'll take a look at Malden
if
also.
you could take a look at Malden's. And I actually have a few things that I would like to see in the ordinance, being the sponsor of the piece.
Please send it to me, and or come and meet with me and
Okay.
the team anytime.
Okay.
However you want to
Just
do
from
it.
reviewing the Malden ordinance,
Yeah.
I was able to pick out some things that
I was
think
looking for the Malden one. I couldn't find it, but they have a new
Okay,
city
so
clerk,
I
so
do
I
have-
wasn't able to get
I
in
do have
touch
a
with them.
copy of it. If you want me to
Yeah,
send
that'd
it
be
to you,
great.
I can send it to you.
Please.
I do have that. I think there's a few good points in there, and I'm happy to hear you're working on Boston's also, because that was the other
Yeah,
one
they're-
I was looking at, and they have some really good
Yeah,
stuff
they have
that
they have a lot of good information in
that
there.
they have handled. So I'll send my recommendations to you,
please.
and I'll also send the Malden ordinance to you as well.
Yeah.
And then
Please.
hopefully we'll see some of those implemented in there. So we'll wait for a final review to come back
Yeah,
from
well,
you
I
guys.
expect to have something for you in a few weeks.
And then if we
But
want to
have-
tweak it at that
we
point,
will.
are we allowed to make any recommendations?
Yeah,
at that
this
point?
is an ordinance. This isn't administrative code. This is the difference. This is your ordinances, so you guys can make all the recommendations. You can cut and paste and tweak it the way you'd like. Just know that we're working hard on it, and we want to make sure it's fair to everybody. And like I said, I think we're going to put limits on it too, how many can be there, because I think right now it's unlimited, and we don't want to completely destroy the housing market in the city too. So I think putting some type of limit on it, both in commercial and residential, will be a necessity, which I don't think any other city thought of. And I think it's, I like doing that, like we do at our motor dealer, repair shops, things like that. I think there should be a limit, because otherwise, and then we can always revisit it. If we need more, it's easy enough to tweak numbers. It's but it's hard to stop people once they have it to take it back. That's the problem. So I think limiting it at the beginning will be good.
Nope, and that's fine. I'll follow up with you on some
Yeah,
on some of
absolutely.
my points, but I appreciate your time. I'll make a motion. You think 30 days or 60 days?
Oh, no, 14 to 30 days. I expect to have something, well, we expect to have something in 14 days, but 30 days would be ample.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we lay this on the table till the October meeting of Legislative Affairs.
And Councilor DeFlorio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, on the motion. I don't like to tear anything apart after it's done, which I know we're allowed to do
Yeah.
that. But there's one recommendation that I would like to make,
Sure.
is that if it's in a commercial area, where the landlord does not live there, then make sure that someone's telephone number, whether it's a manager or an owner, is listed in the front. Because if there's a problem, the police department needs to call them and tell them there's a problem now, not tomorrow.
100%. Actually, I just want to note that that states it even in the residential districts currently. We are very strict about that. We wrote it very similarly to our lodging rules, which require a manager or somebody's name and number, because there could be a fire. It also requires you to, because don't forget, this is like a hotel in essence. So someone's coming there. I'm going to rent a place for 3 days. I have no clue how to get in and out of that property if there's a fire. You have to put a map up there that states this is the way out, just like in a school or in a hotel. I want to know how to get out. God forbid something happens. I just put my bags down. How do I get out of there? A hotel requires it, so we required it. So we really thought of public safety and the neighborhood to make sure they understood how to get in touch with people.
Right, but as of the other night, you've had 0 people.
Well, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I can't.
So what's the
I can't force them to do it.
No.
And I told
What
you.
do we do to force them? What's the consequences?
Oh, well, the way to get them, anybody that's not complying, is through zoning and through the police department. So police can handle criminal type cases, so if people are urinating in the side yard like we heard. And then, because there's zoning issues, Jim Soper's been working diligently on that, sending out cease and desist orders. So we are working. I only have so much teeth. That's the problem. I mean, I'm the clerk, so I don't have a lot of power when it comes to shutting down places. Not in this case, anyway. So
No, but that
I
one-
brought in
that
other
one-
people that do.
That one we found out, and we know there's a problem. How about the ones that there are no problems?
We're still, I've, just so you know, worked with the fire department, the Department of Revenue, to try to find out as many of them as we can. Our fire lieutenant has worked with us,
They have an app, that Airbnb
yes,
app.
but it's hard to, they don't put the address on it. So our fire lieutenant, I'm going to remember his name in a moment, he's went around and found over 30 of them. By looking at the front doors, he knows where the houses are, he's matched it up, went to the location, and he's given us a list. We've sent them letters. They're on a 30-day notice. If they do not comply, they will go to Jim Soper, and Jim Soper will issue cease and desist orders. So, as I told you the last meeting, I am doing I'm doing my
Oh, no,
best I can at the beginning, giving everybody a fair 30 days, because that's how I think it's fair. Give them 30 days, because these ordinances aren't as publicized. We want to make sure, I like educating people first. Hey, this is the rules, come in and do the right thing, and then if you don't, then we hit you. That's just my policy.
The problem is all these years, we've had so much, we've really had nothing on the books, and people are
Right.
doing it, not because they're doing anything illegal.
Right.
They're doing it to
And that's why I
survive.
don't want to hurt them. I
Right.
want to try to help them
But what
and
are we doing
educate
to
them.
educate them to say, listen, right now, if you have an Airbnb, you have to come and register? How do they know that?
So I've been, we put something in the newspaper. We're going to do a little show on ECTV, and then when I've been finding them, like I said, I don't send them a nasty letter. I said, hey, this is what the regulations are. I send them the application, explain to them, please come into my office or Jim Soper's office, and we'll explain to you what you need to do, and then we move forward. A few people have come in, but they haven't finalized, they haven't completed the applications. So that, I mean, there are a few people coming in, but none in completely yet. So, I mean, we are moving forward. It's taking a little longer than I would have liked, I won't lie to you, but I don't know how to control that. But I am doing my best, and the rest of
Well, I
the
knew
team
there
are
was-
helping me.
Yeah, I knew this was a big thing. That's why I originally brought up the Airbnb.
Yeah,
at
but
the beginning.
at least we have something in the books now. Before, we had
Yeah.
nothing.
Nothing.
They could have
No
operated
regulation at
with
all.
no regulation. So now we actually have some teeth, because now we can say, hey, there's an ordinance and you're not complying. So remember, that's why we drafted that back in April, May, and passed it with this
All right.
board.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Council McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Clerk Cornelia, I'm actually happy to hear a couple of the things that I wanted to recommend you have already put in or are already in place, which is,
Yes, they are.
Whether or not there's fire extinguishers in these common areas so that, God forbid of a fire, and a map of exit points, during the middle of a night, God forbid of an emergency. The other thing is, can it be any size dwelling? So somebody builds a 9-unit building.
Currently-
they can make
currently, no.
all 9 units.
Currently,
Airbnb?
no. Currently, no. But we are going to change that, but more for commercial than for residential. Because, again, in commercial areas, if you build a commercial building with 20 units, you're not bothering the neighborhood. It's almost like a hotel. We actually generate more revenue. We have less of a burden on our schools and other city services. And it's not, I mean, I think it's a net positive for us in essence, as long as someone's managing it.
Right.
And
that's the
that's
key, as
that's
long
the
as
difference.
somebody's
But
properly
in
managing
residential, no, there'll be a limit. We just, right
But
now,
currently we don't have.
currently we have a three family. We may expand it a little, but again, it will be in conjunction with this board. We'll discuss it. I don't know how we're going to draft that yet. Those are still the few things that we haven't.
And those are some of the points where I wanted to go
Absolutely.
with my
But you-
recommendations is, you don't want to see a 6-family house pop up on Baldwin Ave, or Dyer Ave, or Sycamore
Right.
Street, or any other street in the city, and now you have 6 Airbnbs being rented out of this one property, and then 4 doors down, you have another 6-family pop up, or a 4-family pop up, and now you got
Right.
10 units on one street that are now Airbnbs.
No, I agree.
So that's why I was wondering if there is a.
But we do have some developers that are looking at, one gentleman already has come in, he's building a 26-unit building. It's not really in commercial, it's in residential, and he'd like to do Airbnb there. So I don't know how to address that yet. I don't know how we should address that. So these are things that I'm actually going to ask you, what would you like to do? I don't want to just draft everything on my whim, because I would like to bring you in on some of the discussion. So it's stuff that I'm going to bring to at least the Legislative Affairs Committee, to see if you have some opinion on that.
That's some of the stuff that I.
Yeah.
Some of the
I didn't
colleagues-
realize this would be a thing, but someone actually just came in last week and asked me, so it's something that now we have to address, You don't think of these things until someone's asked you.
The city of Boston actually got blindsided. So I was talking to one of the city councilors over there in Boston, Matt O'Malley, and he had told me in his district in West Roxbury, and he had this issue happen, and it was a large size building popped up on like a side street, and it turned into Airbnb, and they had no control over it, and really hammered the neighborhood. It really put
Right.
a huge burn on this one particular neighborhood. So that is what made me think about size of the building. So there's some things that we can discuss.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
talk all the time. We can discuss, but I'm glad to hear that you're also on the same page and that you're willing to come back in to work on
Yeah,
these things
absolutely.
with
Yeah.
us.
We'll all work together.
Thanks. Thank you.
Council Sparrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to hear all this. Action's definitely needed as soon as possible. Just one last thing that I would like to see is when you do your research and contacting other cities and towns, maybe go a little further and ask them what's working in the ordinance, what isn't, what do you wish you may have added,
Right.
to help us build it a little quicker and more efficiently.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, any other questions for our clerk? Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Clerk.
much, guys.
Was the motion request for the timing committee? Okay. Do we have a second? Moved in second to request for the timing committee. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Chair will entertain a motion. Moved in second to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? You have adjourned.